The roguelike genre was something I was terrified to jump into.
Sophie, let me tell you something! Wait!
As a newer gamer, the idea of having to retread the same ground over and over again didn't sound like my cup of tea. But throw in some Greek mythology, and suddenly I'm ready to die 8,000 times just to let my boy Thanatos give me that sweet, judgmental look one more time.
Frankly, I'm surprised you're still alive.
My goal is to become a good gamer by my standards, which means I gotta get better at all the gaming genres. This time around, I'm exploring the roguelite/roguelike genre. I've been made aware that there was a very passionate community that would have me thrown into an actual Tartarus if I didn't clarify that Hades is a roguelite. Can't say I know the difference entirely yet, but that will come with time. After getting started with a pair of training wheels, I have to say, it was an awesome experience. I still have a lot more to learn from this genre, but I think I have enough notes on what I think are the basics going forward. So, without any further ado, this is what I learned from my playthrough of Hades. With every game, there are choices to make. Choose this character or that class. Choose the sword or the shield. Quit. Don't quit.
Noodles.
To varying degrees, your choices impact your gaming experience. Where some games focus more on the decisions, other games may focus more on the controls and mechanics. Hades has done an amazing combination of both. Arguably, the combat in Hades is the main centerpiece of the game. Mastering that is really what helps you beat the game, but your choices and abilities or resources are the supplement to that combat. I eventually got pretty good at fighting, but when it came to abilities, I was just kind of winging it. I didn't have a solid game plan for most of my decisions, which is probably why I died so many times. After playing Hades, I can only assume that roguelikes are all about choices. The right combination of abilities means the difference in making it out of Tartarus versus crawling my way out of Elysium. In Hades, each time you attempt to reach the surface, you have to fight your way through rooms of enemies. When you clear one of these rooms, you are presented with a reward, some of which are power-ups. When it comes to successfully escaping the underworld, the power-ups you choose heavily influence your ability to reach that goal. I'm not going to clog up this video with the info dump of every ability. You could play the game yourself to figure that out. There's just a lot I learned from the choices I had to make, and the first lesson I learned was about experimenting in video games wasn't a new thing for me. I've had to experiment with abilities in all the games I've played so far, but in all of them, it was almost necessary to experiment. The bosses in Chrono Trigger were all about experimenting with the right combination of abilities and equipment. Or in the Blind Forest, introduce new abilities in order to expand the map and continue the campaign. It wasn't as much as experimenting with new abilities as it was just learning them to progress in the game. In Hades, because all the abilities and power-ups are randomized, there was never one ability you needed to complete the game. Experimenting was encouraged, but not required. It was less about the means to progress in the game, and instead, more about feeling out abilities and understanding what worked and what didn't. And that was a new experience for me. The abilities in Hades were very confusing at first. Most of the time, I would read what the ability did, but reading it was much different than experiencing it. The power-ups you can choose from, called boons, mainly modified your 4 basic moves: attack, special attack, cast, and dash. Different gods gave you different modifications to these attacks. Athena allows you to deflect projectiles. Demeter allows you to inflict a chill effect on enemies that you hit. And Dionysus creates a party fog that intoxicates whoever steps into it. When being presented with an ability, it's just a bunch of words. A simple example is an ability you get from Athena called Divine Strike, which reads, your attack is stronger and can deflect. Highlighted words are explained more in depth with tabs on the side. This is an easy ability to understand and picture how it would feel like playing with it. Whenever you attack, your attack is going to be a little stronger, and if it happens to hit a projectile, it will send it back towards that enemy. Ares, on the other hand, has an ability called Blade Dash that creates a blade rift wherever you start that dash. The description for Blade Rift is slashing metal vortex rapidly deals damage in an area. Okay. All this sounds awesome. I had a clear understanding of what this ability did when reading it, but playing around with it was much different. I may or may not have been utilizing it that much, and although it was cool, it wasn't the most effective choice to add to my dash based on the playstyle. But I needed to play around with his ability and others to really understand the advantages and disadvantages of each one. This required a lot of experimenting on my part, because there are 9 gods to receive boons from that are all unique. Sometimes there would be an ability that sounded really good, and turned out after choosing it, it didn't do much for me. Other times, there were abilities that seemed like they were useless, but turned out to be one of the most useful abilities to get. Exploring what avenues of abilities I could take helped me out significantly in the playthrough. The more I learned about certain abilities, the more I learned what I liked and didn't like to play with. Which brings me to my next lesson. Once I had all the game knowledge I needed about abilities, my focus changed to figure out what worked best for me. After a while, I found out that the spear was the most fun and easiest weapon for me to use. It had a combination of close range and long range attacks, and I liked having both those options in battle. This is one of the big things I liked about Hades. It lets you play to your own strengths. When playing Kingdom Hearts, towards the end of the game, I was facing bosses that just made the game miserable for me. A lot of my viewers were encouraging me to use an ability called Eroga, which increased my defenses in battle. This would allow me to hold out just a little bit longer and give me a better chance at fighting. The thing is, the ability consumes double the normal amount of magic's energy, and didn't last very long. This meant in order for me to use this ability efficiently, I would need to change my playstyle to accommodate this new ability. A difficult change, but a necessary one. In Hades, you unlock 6 different weapons over the course of the game, and if you test one out and you don't like it, you'll never have to pick that weapon again. The same thing goes with abilities. You test out a new ability that you see, and if you don't fancy it, no problem. Just don't choose it next time. Maybe there is a god in the game that you end up not liking any of the abilities that they offer. Just avoid them at all costs from here on out. This game not only allowed me to breathe with my choices, but allowed me to get comfortable and get better with the choices I made. Another thing I realized about my decision was that there is a value to being comfortable. When selecting some abilities, there is a typical common version of an ability that shows up gray, and then it ranks up from there. Blue for rare, purple for epic, and red for heroic. The strongest tier of that ability. The strength of these abilities are completely random, and although sometimes there would be a stronger ability to choose, it was almost always more worth it to choose the one I was comfortable with, regardless of strength, because I would get more use out of it. Now that I knew what I liked in the game, all that was left for me to do was to construct my perfect Zagreus. That's the name of the character in the game you play as. Looking for all the right abilities that worked best for me, I was inadvertently learning about the technique that only seasoned gamers know about. This last lesson is short, and admittedly, I'm still not too familiar with the concept of builds. I know that they will become more important in future games and are a huge factor in decision making. A friend had explained to me that the biggest contributor to me beating the game had to do with how I was focused on my build. On my 23rd attempt, I wasn't expecting to beat the game. In fact, I hadn't been making it very far in my last few attempts, but right from the beginning, I got an ability that enhanced my special attack. From there on out, I was flooded with upgrades for that special attack, and once it was strong enough, it carried me far into my run. My next goal was to find abilities that filled in the rest of my attacks. By the end of the run, I had a strong main attack with a bunch of abilities that supported it. Hades didn't stand a chance. I know this barely scratches the surface of what builds are, but I'm excited to play games that are more geared towards that kind of playstyle. The fact that the first time I was actually putting together a plan allowed me to beat the game speaks volumes to the importance of focused character builds. It made me understand that builds are a main staple in roguelites. It should play heavily into my choices when upgrading my characters. So, after learning what I have in my playthrough of Hades, I have 3 more notes to help me in future games. Number 8. Make experimental decisions. There will be abilities or effects in video games that I won't understand immediately. So playing around and testing out various playstyles and abilities will be crucial to understanding a game and its mechanics. I just need to make sure that I am also giving everything an equal shot and not stick to what I already know. Number 9. Make comfortable decisions. When it comes to assessing the value of different decisions, sometimes, but not all the time, making the more comfortable decision can make a bigger difference than an optimal decision. So, I will need to keep an eye out for when this unique note might apply. Number 10. Make building decisions. After having a full understanding of what my options are, making decisions with a plan behind them is what separates a mediocre attempt and a great attempt. Along with that, making decisions that will build on each other are what will give me an edge to do much better in my playthroughs. This game was awesome, and I still play it in my free time, which I haven't done with any other game so far. I did beat my first complete run through with God mode on, but after seeing myself beat up Hades, I decided to take the training wheels off and play for real, which sucked at first. But as of right now, in the making of this video, I can proudly say that after many deaths and damages to my sanity, I have beat Hades for reals.
I totally did that!
If you are interested in following my journey to becoming a better gamer, like and subscribe. If you had a similar experience or have a suggestion of another roguelite to play, leave a comment down below. I am responding to every comment, so tell me what you think. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next game. Bye.